Hello friends, once again welcome to bsvtrainings.com. Today we are going to do activity number 14, in which in this activity I am going to show how do you deal with in case your dimension is missing in your source file itself. So let me take you to the requirement sheet and show you what exactly we want to achieve. So this is my source file and I'm going to loading to my planning application. This is a planning application structure. These are dimension I have. And you see the first field is your account dimension. The first field is your account dimension. This is basically your cache 1110. The second field is your entity 110. This is your entity facility resources, and third field is your working, which is your version dimension, and fourth field is your amount, right? So what we learn the rule, we count the number of dimension, and your source file should have same number of dimension plus one amount dimension minus year, period, and scenario. So let's count how many dimension you have in your source. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dimension you have, right? But in 7 dimension, you do not include year, period, and scenario because this comes under point of view. So total dimension in your source 0, 7, right? And then out of the source 7 dimension, you remove period, which is part of your point of view, year, which is also part of your point of view, and scenario, which is called category, is also going to be part of your point of view, right? So you're supposed to have a total number of dimensions should be 7 dimension minus 3, 4 plus 1 account dimension. So from 7 dimension I minus 3 dimension from point of view, plus I add one more dimension for amount, right? So total number of dimension I should have 7 minus 3, 4 plus 1, 5. There should be 5 dimension, but when I count in my source field, I find the number of dimension are missing. There are 4 fields. Which dimension is missing? I can say account, period, year, scenario, version, entity. Product dimension is missing. In case when you have one missing dimension, how do you load into your target application, which is planning application? Now let's see how to do this. Because we already gathered this information from the source, we can directly jump into the mapping part. So I'm going to my setup tab of my FDQM, and first thing I'll do the target application setting. Click on add and define your target application is my planning application, planning vision application. And missing dimension I'm going to define as my product as a static product called P underscore 000, which is no product in this case. I'm going to load all the data for P underscore 000, no product. Okay. First time when I access it, it takes a little time. When you access your planning application first time, click on vision and define other parameters. See, it's a one-to-one mapping is already given. Dimension name, target dimension class, data column, data table, column name. So entity goes to entity, version goes to version. So the one-to-one explicit mapping is given. Right? Entity will map to entity, account will map to account, and rest all of them will map to user defined 1, user defined 2. Scenario, year, and period are part of your point of view, right? Save this. This is perfect. Then application setting, make sure the folder name is specified with the target application vision. Define the folder path, application root folder. Define it over here. So I want my application root folder should be vision application. It is already created, therefore I need not create this. And then I do my source system mapping is already there. It's a flat file. Target application is planning vision application. Now I define an import format. Then I'm going to define how do you deal with missing dimension. Click on add plus and define your source. So source is your name is vision load, and source is my ERP, which is flat file, and it is a delimiter by comma, right? And target is your EPM vision application, isn't it? Save it and define mapping. So here in this example, when I open my source file, I can easily see the mapping details. First one goes to account. Field number 1 is account. Second one is your entity. So which is your entity? This is your entity. Entity is the second field. Similarly, working version is the third field. Working is a version, field number third, and amount is your fourth field. Now you can clearly see over here there is no field mapping is available for product. So I'll write product and then I do field number 1 and then I make a static mapping. So I define it P0001 in expression. So all will go to my product P0001. Sorry, 000, which is my no product. In my this case is a no product. Right. This is how I define missing dimension mapping. Now you go to target. Location. Create a new location. Click on add. Define location detail. Define import profile, which is vision load, and define location name vision load. Source is a flat file. Target is a vision application. This is done. Go ahead next. And next define a period mapping. In this example, I continue to load data for January Q1 FI15. Just make sure you have got this product. Year is FI15. It is valid. Period is January. It is also valid. And right, quarter is Q1. Make sure quarter is valid as well. It's a Q1. Perfect. And category, I have got two readily available category, actual and forecast, and one-to-one mapping, actual and forecast. One-to-one mapping, there is no need to change the mapping. And in this example, we assume actual data is being loaded on monthly cycle and forecast data is being loaded on quarterly cycle. Done. Save this and you can carry on. Now we define the workflow. Data loading mapping. I change my location to vision load and define mapping explicitly. So except the one which is missing, I need to define mapping for all. So it's a pretty straightforward mapping. I can do explicit or like mapping one by one. Account 1000 map to 1000. Save it. Entity 110 map to 110. Save it. Version is working version. Right. And then last one is your product. Define explicit your product P underscore 000. Source is P000 and target is P000. Save it and that's it. Correct. Now I go for data load rule and create a new load rule. Click plus and define new load rule. I name it vision load. I'm going to load to actual, to single period at a time, point to your format, import format, and define your source file. So my source file is called load source dimension. Right, save this. Everything looks perfect. Click on execute and wait for some time. Import from source and load to target. My start period remain January and I'm going to replace all data if it is already exist. I submit this as a job. Process ID 242 and extract ID is also given. Click on OK. Wait for a few minutes. You can continue to refresh this unless this gets completed. Well, I got an error. As you see in this example, I got an error. I can quickly debug this error. Go to data log workbench and I find the mapping details over here. So entity 110 map to entity, account map to account. Only 110 account is mapped. Other accounts are missing, so I need to explicitly define the mapping. Or I can use a simple like operator. Source version, target version, product mapping is available, amount is mapping available. So I go to data loading mapping section, delete this account mapping simply, and go to like, use a simple star star. Whatever the source, the same maps to your target. Name the rule name, all mapping. Load all. Save this and once again execute this rule. Import from source and load to target. If your error comes, the first thing you can do it, you should look at the mappings are correct or not. This is process I243 and extract ID, right? So data load workbench, the quickest way to identify the missing log, missing mapping. Most of the issues come because of missing mappings. We continue to refresh this. It takes another few seconds to complete. It is done successful. I can go to data load workbench and I can see source entity, target entity, source account, target account, source version, target version, and all account. The missing dimension was product P_00, which I explicitly did mapping under my import format. I did explicit mapping for my product under import format. Sorry, this is the one, vision load. I defined explicit mapping of product, right? So that's it for today. The final step, you like to do it, you like to check the output, maybe in a smart view or data form. The quickest way you can do it, you can check the output in a smart view going to the same intersection. So I connect to my space and test the data. This is my source file. We'll test this data, any one or two field. Okay. I go to ad hoc, right click, ad hoc analysis. I can do, and I map to the year. I'm loading data for FI15. Period is January. Scenario is actual. Version is working version. And entity is 110. I'm doing exactly same setting what I did over here. An account, there are multiple accounts. I can see one or two account, 10 or 1150 and so on, 1210 and so on. Right, you retrieve it and you find the data over here. Make sure your intersections are correct. Product is P and triple zero. Refresh and this is your data. Right, so now you can see before source data and target data. That's it for today. Thanks for watching today's videos. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel to access more videos. Thank you and have a great day ahead.